They didn't just hurt you, they shattered something sacred. It wasn't just an argument, a mistake, or a moment of weakness. No. What they did was deliberate, calculated, and aimed straight at the very core of who you are. And yet, the world tells you to forgive. Friends say, don't hold grudges, just move on. Self-help books insist that forgiveness is the highest virtue, the noble path. Society almost pressures you into believing that if you refuse to forgive, you're the bitter one, the broken one, the problem. But deep inside, something resists. Something whispers. This wasn't a small offense. This wasn't something I can simply sweep under the rug. If I forgive this, I'm not showing strength. I'm betraying myself. And maybe that instinct is right. Forgiveness is a virtue, most of the time. The Stoics themselves, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, taught the importance of compassion, of not letting anger consume us, of rising above petty slights. But they also drew clear lines. They warned against becoming a slave to others by tolerating behavior that disrespects our dignity. Epictetus reminded his students that the one thing truly under our control is our moral character and the boundaries we set around it. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor surrounded by conspiracies, betrayals, and lies, taught that self-respect is not a luxury, it is a duty. That's the heart of this lesson. There are betrayals so deep, so destructive, that forgiving them isn't wisdom. It's self-destruction. Think about it. When you forgive someone who has shown you they are willing to tear apart your dignity, steal your security, manipulate your reality, or corrupt your very soul, you are not practicing compassion. You are giving permission. You are telling them, my dignity is negotiable, my boundaries are optional, my trust can be exploited again. And here's the truth. Some betrayals are not accidents. They are not slips of judgment or moments of human weakness. They are calculated acts that reveal something unchangeable about the betrayer's character. Once revealed, that truth cannot be unseen. Once trust is broken at this depth, it cannot be restored without sacrificing your self-respect. This is the hidden wisdom the world rarely admits. Forgiveness can be toxic when it demands you erase the unforgivable. The Stoics would remind us, if you want peace, you must live in harmony with nature. And nature teaches us this. Poison cannot be made into nourishment. Once something is corrupted at its core, no amount of goodwill transforms it into something safe. In this journey, we will examine 5 betrayals that should never be forgiven. Each one represents a direct assault, not just on your feelings, but on your very identity, security, and future. The first betrayal is deliberate public humiliation. This isn't just an insult, it's a calculated act of cruelty that weaponizes your deepest vulnerabilities against you. The second betrayal is financial treachery, when someone steals not just your money, but your safety, your years of sacrifice, and your ability to plan for tomorrow. The third betrayal is gaslighting and reality distortion, the slow, methodical destruction of your trust in your own mind, designed to enslave you to another's control. The fourth betrayal is infidelity with someone close, when the knife doesn't come from an enemy, but from the very people you thought were family, allies, or home. And finally, the fifth betrayal, the most insidious of all, is when someone pressures you to abandon your core values. When they don't just betray your trust, they try to make you betray yourself. Each of these betrayals is a line that, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. They represent a level of disrespect so profound that forgiveness becomes a lie you tell yourself to avoid the pain of walking away. But the cost of that lie is always the same: your dignity. You see, the Stoic path is not about being endlessly tolerant. It is about being fiercely devoted to truth and to self-respect. Marcus Aurelius didn't forgive conspirators who tried to destroy the empire. He acted with justice. Epictetus didn't say to stay with people who humiliate and enslave you. He said to walk away, to guard your dignity as if it were the most sacred treasure in existence. This video will guide you through each of these unforgivable betrayals. Not to make you bitter, but to make you free. Not to encourage hatred, but to awaken boundaries. Not to inflame vengeance, but to strengthen the shield of your dignity. Because here's the ultimate truth. You teach people how to treat you. When you forgive what should never be forgiven, you teach them that your worth is negotiable. But when you walk away, you teach the world that your soul has no price. So stay with me, because once you understand these 5 betrayals, you will never again doubt whether you're right to walk away. You'll know deep in your bones that your boundaries are not cruelty, they are survival. And if you believe, as the Stoics did, that dignity is not negotiable, then this is your path, and this is your community. Subscribe to True Stoic Way if you believe dignity is not negotiable. Betrayal number 1. Deliberate public humiliation. Public humiliation is not a careless slip of the tongue. It is not a moment of irritation where someone blurts out something they regret. It is calculated cruelty. It is when someone intentionally strips away your dignity in front of others, using your vulnerabilities as weapons and your trust as ammunition. The difference matters. A harsh word spoken in anger can be forgiven if it comes from a place of temporary weakness. But deliberate public humiliation is different. It is an act of betrayal that reveals a person's character. It tells you with brutal clarity that they value their momentary sense of power more than your long-term well-being. The story of Maria. Maria learned this lesson in the most painful way. For months, she had been opening up to her partner about her struggles with anxiety. She confessed how nervous she became during work presentations, how her heart raced when all eyes were on her, how she sometimes felt like her voice would break before she even began. These were not casual admissions. These were secrets, private fears she only revealed because she believed she was safe with him. But one night, at a company party filled with his colleagues and superiors, everything changed. During a heated argument, her partner smirked, raised his glass, and loudly declared, "Maria, she can't even give a presentation without shaking. Honestly, she's too anxious to function in the real world." The room went silent. Some laughed awkwardly. Others looked away. Maria stood frozen, her face burning, her chest tight, as the people she needed to respect her professionally now saw her as fragile, weak, even incompetent. But the wound cut deeper than embarrassment. It wasn't just about the ruined image in front of her colleagues. It was the realization that the person she loved most, the one she trusted with her deepest fear, had chosen to use that vulnerability as entertainment. He hadn't just humiliated her. He had betrayed her. Public humiliation leaves scars far beyond the moment itself, on the individual. It crushes confidence. The victim begins to wonder what other secrets might be used against them. They become guarded, hesitant to share their authentic self, editing their words and emotions to avoid exposure. Intimacy becomes impossible when trust has been weaponized. On relationships, it poisons the bond. The person who should have been a protector becomes the executioner. Instead of guarding vulnerabilities, they exploit them. Forgiveness, in this context, doesn't restore trust. It rewards betrayal. On social standing, public humiliation alters the way others see you. Even if they sympathize, the image lingers. Your vulnerability has been framed as weakness, and your dignity has been fractured in the very space where you most needed respect. The most insidious part is the gaslighting that often follows. The betrayer might say, "I was just joking," or "You're overreacting." Friends might minimize it too, suggesting you're being too sensitive. But deep inside, you know. You felt the shift. You saw the smirk. You heard the laughter. Your dignity was treated as a bargaining chip in someone else's moment of power. The Stoics were clear. Dignity is not negotiable. Epictetus, once a slave, understood more than anyone that while others can shackle your body, they cannot touch your inner dignity unless you hand it over. He taught that true freedom lies in never surrendering your moral self-respect, no matter the circumstance. When someone deliberately humiliates you, they are not just being cruel. They are declaring that your dignity is expendable in their pursuit of control. They reveal their view of trust as a tool, not a treasure. To forgive such an act is to signal that your dignity can be violated without consequence. And once you've taught someone that lesson, they will use it again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not value yourself at less than your true worth." When we allow humiliation to pass unchecked, we do exactly that. We reduce our worth to fit someone else's cruelty. Deliberate public humiliation is unforgivable because it reveals a permanent truth. This person does not see your dignity as sacred. They see it as negotiable, expendable, a resource to be burned whenever they feel the urge. And here's the harsh reality. Apologies don't erase this. A person who chooses to humiliate you once has already crossed a line. They've proven that, when the opportunity arises, your reputation, your trust, and your emotional safety mean less to them than a fleeting sense of superiority. Forgiving them is not noble. It is dangerous. It gives them the permission slip to repeat the act the next time they crave power. So what do? You set absolute boundaries. You make it clear that your dignity is not up for negotiation. You refuse to share your sacred vulnerabilities with someone who has proven they will not protect them. And if you've ever faced this, if someone has used your private truth as a public weapon, know that you are not alone. Many carry these scars silently, believing they are overreacting. But you are not overreacting. You are seeing the truth for what it is. If you've ever faced this, share your story in the comments, not for sympathy, but to remind others that their dignity is worth defending. Your experience may give someone else the courage to draw the line. Public humiliation attacks your reputation, your dignity, and your social standing. But as devastating as that is, there is another form of betrayal that strikes even deeper. It doesn't just shame you in front of others, it robs you of your very sense of safety, stability, and future security. That betrayal is financial treachery, the theft of your trust through money, resources, and the very foundation of your security. Betrayal number 2. Financial betrayal and theft. When people think of betrayal, they often picture lies, infidelity, or broken promises. But financial betrayal cuts even deeper, because it does not just attack your wallet. It undermines your very sense of safety, stability, and fairness. Money is not merely numbers on a screen or bills in your pocket. In a relationship, money represents trust, sacrifice, and shared dreams. It symbolizes the long hours of work, the opportunities postponed, the vacations skipped, and the comfort given up so both partners can build a future together. When someone steals from you, whether by hiding assets, forging signatures, draining savings, or secretly accumulating debt, they are not just taking money. They are stealing years of your life and dismantling the foundation of mutual trust. Tom thought he and his wife were working side by side for their children's future. For years, they both made sacrifices, late nights, overtime shifts, living modestly, saying no to luxuries so they could build a college fund. Every dollar saved carried meaning. Fewer dinners out, cheaper vacations, smaller gifts at Christmas. Each sacrifice was not just about saving money. It was about love, about placing their children's education above temporary pleasures. But one day, Tom uncovered a devastating truth. Over 18 months, his wife had been quietly draining that college fund to fuel a gambling addiction. Nearly $30,000 was gone. Money that represented his children's opportunities, his family's stability, and his faith in the person he trusted most. The betrayal didn't end with the theft itself. When confronted, she didn't break down in remorse. She became defensive, even angry. She blamed Tom for not understanding her stress, minimized the crime as borrowing from our own money, and twisted the narrative so that he was made to feel guilty for discovering the truth. Instead of repenting, she justified. Instead of repairing, she destroyed further. What Tom lost was not only money. He lost the belief that his sacrifices mattered. He lost the feeling that the two of them were on the same team. And perhaps worst of all, he lost the trust that his partner valued their children's future over her immediate gratification. Financial betrayal is not a momentary lapse. It's a pattern of sustained deception. It requires daily choices to lie, to hide, to manipulate, and to prioritize selfish desires over shared commitments. The consequences go far beyond the bank account. Debt and instability. You may inherit debts you never knew existed. Your credit score may be ruined, leaving you unable to buy a house, take out a loan, or even qualify for basic financial stability. Stress and anxiety. Money problems are already among the greatest sources of stress in relationships. When the financial chaos is tied to betrayal, that stress multiplies into anxiety, sleepless nights, and constant suspicion. Family strain. Financial betrayal often impacts children, extended family, and future generations. Money saved for education, security, or retirement vanishes, leaving a ripple effect that damages more than just the betrayer and the betrayed. Trust erosion. Perhaps the most devastating wound is psychological. Every shared decision about money becomes tainted with doubt. Every purchase raises suspicion. Every conversation about finances feels like a potential lie. The very partnership itself is poisoned. Marcus Aurelius considered justice one of the 4 cardinal virtues. He understood that justice was not abstract. It was the measure of a person's soul. To be just is to deal fairly, honestly, and honorably with others, especially with those who trust you most. Financial betrayal is a direct violation of this virtue. It reveals someone's priorities when they think they won't be caught. It shows that fairness, partnership, and responsibility mean nothing when weighed against selfish desire. And here is the truth that no apology can erase. Someone who can look you in the eye, speak of the future, and simultaneously drain your resources is not just dishonest in money matters. They are dishonest in character. For the Stoics, justice is indivisible. You cannot be virtuous in one area of life and corrupt in another. A person who betrays you financially has revealed a fracture in their character that extends far beyond money. Unlike accidental financial mistakes, theft is deliberate. It requires a conscious choice to value selfish gain over shared security. Forgiveness in such cases is not compassion. It is permission. And once given, it emboldens the betrayer to repeat the crime, because they now know they can gamble not only with your money but with your trust. This is why financial betrayal must be treated as unforgivable. It is not about revenge or bitterness. It is about protection. Your resources are not just numbers. They represent your children's dreams, your future stability, your sacrifices, and your peace of mind. To protect them is to protect your life. Protecting your resources is protecting your peace. Subscribe to learn Stoic wisdom on boundaries. Financial betrayal strips away your sense of external security. But there is a form of betrayal even more devastating, one that does not target your bank account, but your very perception of reality. Gaslighting and reality distortion are not thefts of money, but thefts of the mind. They leave you doubting your own memory, questioning your judgment, and dependent on the very person who seeks to control you. And that is the third betrayal we must confront. Betrayal number 3. Systematic gaslighting and reality distortion. Some betrayals are sharp, obvious, and undeniable, like theft or infidelity. But others are slow, invisible poisons that seep into your mind until you can no longer trust your own reflection. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of betrayal because it is not just an attack on your feelings. It is psychological warfare designed to dismantle your reality. The word gaslighting comes from a 1944 film in which a husband manipulates his wife into believing she's going insane. But in real life, gaslighting is far more destructive than a movie plot. It is a deliberate, systematic campaign to rewrite your perception of reality. The gaslighter doesn't just lie. They distort, twist, deny, and reframe events until you are no longer sure what's real. They turn truth into fog, memory into doubt, and confidence into dependency. Over time, you stop trusting yourself and start leaning on the very person who is orchestrating your confusion. That is the genius and the cruelty of gaslighting. It enslaves you without chains. Sarah was once vibrant and confident. She trusted her instincts, made decisions easily, and spoke her mind. But when she entered a relationship with Jake, her world began to shift in ways she couldn't explain. At first, the changes were subtle. Jake would deny things he had clearly promised. "You must have misunderstood. I never said that." When Sarah recalled specific words, he would shake his head with calm concern. "You're remembering wrong. You've been so stressed lately. Maybe that's affecting your memory." The seed of doubt was planted. Then the manipulations grew bolder. Jake would move Sarah's belongings, then feign concern when she couldn't find them. He told her friends had privately expressed worries about her confusion. He would make plans, then later insist those plans never existed, suggesting she write things down so she wouldn't forget again. Gradually, Sarah began questioning herself in everyday situations. Did that conversation really happen? Did she misinterpret his tone? Was she overreacting? But the most devastating twist came when Jake began rewriting the history of their relationship. Arguments where he was cruel were reframed as her being overly sensitive. Promises he had broken became things she had imagined. Harsh insults he had spoken were jokes she didn't understand. Every time Sarah tried to assert the truth, Jake's calm denials made her feel irrational, unstable, even paranoid. By the end, Sarah was keeping a secret journal just to track reality. She would record conversations word for word, desperate to anchor herself to something solid. But even then, when she confronted Jake, he would look at her with pity and say, "Why are you making things up? You really should see someone. I'm worried about you." The confident, decisive woman had been reduced to a shadow, dependent on Jake's version of events, doubting her own sanity, and unable to trust her instincts. Gaslighting doesn't just confuse you in the moment, it reshapes your entire relationship with reality. Loss of self-trust. Victims begin to question their memory, their judgment, and even their sanity. The compass that once guided them, intuition, becomes broken. Difficulty trusting others. After being manipulated so thoroughly, trust becomes dangerous. Even genuine kindness can be viewed with suspicion because you've learned that affection can be a mask for control. Post-traumatic stress. Many survivors experience symptoms similar to PTSD, flashbacks, hypervigilance, and emotional numbness. The mind, once manipulated, doesn't easily forget. Dependency and isolation. Because the gaslighter convinces you that you're unstable, you may withdraw from friends and family, believing their lies that only they understand you. Isolation deepens control. Gaslighting is not a mistake. It is a campaign. And campaigns are not accidents, they are strategies. For the Stoics, the most essential task of philosophy was to see the world as it truly is. Clarity of perception was the foundation of wisdom, because every judgment, every decision, every action flows from how we interpret reality. Epictetus taught, "What disturbs men are not things, but the judgments they form about things." If someone deliberately clouds your ability to judge correctly, they are not just lying to you, they are attacking the very root of your freedom. Marcus Aurelius warned against allowing the mind to be ruled by illusion. He saw truth as the only safe ground for the soul. To the Stoics, to lose your grip on reality is to lose the ability to live rationally, and to live irrationally is to live enslaved. This is why gaslighting is so destructive. It does not merely harm your emotions, it strikes at your ability to live in accordance with reason, the very essence of Stoic virtue. Unlike other betrayals, gaslighting is not a single act. It is a series of choices, repeated over weeks, months, or even years. It requires persistence, planning, and a willingness to sacrifice your partner's sanity for your own control. A person who can systematically distort your reality has revealed something terrifying about their character. They see your autonomy as an obstacle. They are willing to destroy your confidence, your relationships, and your truth if it means keeping you under their influence. This level of betrayal is not healed by apologies. In fact, when confronted, gaslighters often continue the manipulation. "You're paranoid. You're imagining things. You're making me the villain." These responses prove the point. They will not give up control, because control is the entire goal. Forgiving such a person is not noble. It is self-annihilation. Recovering from gaslighting is slow and painful. It requires rebuilding trust in yourself, reclaiming your right to reality, and surrounding yourself with people who honor your perception instead of distorting it. But every step back toward clarity is a victory. Every time you say, "No, I remember this clearly," you reclaim a piece of your freedom. Comment below. My reality stands if you've reclaimed your inner truth. Your voice may inspire someone else who is struggling to find theirs again. Gaslighting attacks the mind. It leaves you doubting your own thoughts, your own memories, your very sanity. But there is another betrayal even crueler in its reach. It doesn't just distort your reality, it shatters the foundation of your most intimate bonds. That betrayal is infidelity with someone close to you. Not only does it wound the heart, but it destroys the trust of an entire circle, leaving devastation in every direction. Betrayal number 4. Infidelity with someone close. Some betrayals pierce like a dagger. but this one cuts twice. Infidelity is devastating on its own, but when it involves someone within your inner circle, it becomes a double assassination of trust. Not only do you lose faith in your partner, but you also lose faith in the very people you thought would protect you most. This isn't just about broken vows or physical intimacy, it's about conspiracy. It's about two people, both trusted, both loved, choosing to deceive you together. It is a betrayal that spreads like wildfire, burning through every bond it touches. Lisa believed she had a solid family foundation. She had weathered storms with her husband. She had leaned on her younger sister for comfort after the loss of their father. She thought that, despite the difficulties of life, she had people in her corner who truly loved her. But during a family vacation meant to bring healing, Lisa uncovered the kind of truth that destroys not only marriages, but entire family systems. For 8 months, her husband and her sister had been carrying on an affair, and while Lisa cooked dinners, organized family gatherings, and poured out her heart to her sister about her struggles in the marriage, both of them were lying to her face. Imagine the scene: Lisa hosting a Sunday dinner, her husband and sister exchanging glances across the table, every smile laced with deception, her sister giving her marriage advice while secretly involved with the very man Lisa was trying to save her relationship with, her husband kissing her goodnight while texting her sister under the sheets. Every laugh, every family conversation, every word of comfort was a performance, a cruel theater in which Lisa played the fool without knowing it. When the truth came out, the devastation was total. Her marriage collapsed, of course. But so did her bond with her sister. And not just that, her relationship with the rest of her family was poisoned. Holidays became fractured. Relatives took sides. What once was a network of support became a battlefield of suspicion and bitterness. Infidelity with someone close is catastrophic because it doesn't just destroy one relationship. It destroys an ecosystem of trust. The partner bond, your sense of intimacy, safety, and loyalty is obliterated. You can no longer see your partner as protector. They've become the enemy. The family bond. The involvement of someone close contaminates family gatherings, traditions, and bonds that were supposed to be lifelong. Every memory becomes tainted by the knowledge of their deception. The social bond. Friends, extended family, and even your children may be caught in the crossfire. What should have been a circle of support turns into a source of tension, division, and shame. The cruelest part is how such betrayals warp your ability to trust going forward. If your own sister can betray you, who can you trust? If your husband can conspire with your family member, how can you ever again believe in loyalty? The wound becomes existential. It attacks your belief in human bonds themselves. Seneca warned that we must choose our companions carefully, because a person's true character is revealed when they believe no one is watching. Betrayal of this magnitude is not a mistake. It is a demonstration of character. When someone close to you chooses to conspire with your partner, they reveal not just weakness, but a profound defect in loyalty and empathy. They show that they are willing to maximize your suffering for their own gratification. They could have chosen anyone else, but they chose someone close because it deepened the cruelty. The Stoics would remind us, loyalty is not negotiable. To forgive a betrayal like this is to teach others that you accept conspiracy against your own dignity. It is to say, my heart can be broken twice, and I will still return to the table. That is not compassion. That is self-destruction. Infidelity is painful, but when combined with the involvement of someone close, it becomes unforgivable because it undermines your entire foundation of belonging. Even if apologies are made, the deception itself required planning, coordination, and ongoing performance. It was not an accident. It was a conspiracy. Forgiving that is not the same as letting go of anger. It is welcoming back people who prove they can look you in the eye, accept your love, and secretly destroy you. And the harsh truth is this: once someone has shown themselves capable of such a conspiracy, there is no guarantee they will not do it again. They have demonstrated not only disloyalty, but also the capacity to hide it for months while enjoying your trust. This is why the Stoics would urge caution. To remain bound to such people is to endanger your peace, your family, and your soul. Lisa's story is tragic, but it also carries a lesson. Betrayal teaches us the value of true companions. Once the false masks are stripped away, you have the chance to rebuild your circle with those who truly deserve to be in it. As painful as it is, sometimes the destruction of a bond reveals who never belonged in your circle to begin with. By letting go of the betrayers, you clear space for loyalty, authenticity, and trust to grow again. Subscribe for Stoic lessons on loyalty, trust, and boundaries. So far, we've explored betrayals that attack dignity, financial stability, and even the mind. But this one, infidelity with someone close, attacks the very core of belonging. It leaves you without a safe place to stand. And yet, there is one betrayal even more insidious. It doesn't just steal your dignity, your money, or your trust in others. It aims to corrupt you from within. It pressures you to abandon your deepest values and participate in your own moral destruction. That is the final betrayal, the one that seeks to make you betray yourself. Betrayal number 5, forcing you to compromise core values. There are betrayals that wound your pride, betrayals that destroy your finances, and betrayals that manipulate your very mind. But the deepest betrayal of all is when someone pressures you to betray yourself. When they don't just harm your dignity from the outside, but demand that you take the knife and cut into your own integrity. This is the most insidious kind of betrayal, because it doesn't just attack your trust in others, it attacks your identity. Your values are not preferences or opinions. They are the foundation of who you are. They guide your decisions, anchor your dignity, and define the lines you will not cross. To compromise them is not just to make a bad choice, it is to become someone else, someone you may not even recognize. David was a man of principle. He and his business partner had built a modest company, and though profits weren't sky-high, David always insisted on doing things by the book. Safety inspections were thorough, records accurate, promises kept. Clients trusted him because he was reliable. But when costs rose and competition grew fierce, his partner began pushing him toward a darker path. "Everyone cuts corners, David," he argued. "You're being naive. If we don't cheat the reports, we'll lose contracts. And if we lose contracts, we lose everything." At first, the pressure came wrapped in reason. Numbers, comparisons, charts, cold logic to convince David that survival required compromise. But when David resisted, the tactics grew more manipulative. His partner began framing David's refusal as selfishness. "Your pride is going to ruin us. Do you care more about your reputation than our employees' jobs, than our family's security?" The pressure didn't stop there. When David stood firm, the partner escalated with threats. "If you don't sign off, I'll dissolve the partnership. I'll tell everyone you're impossible to work with. You'll be blacklisted. Do you really want to throw away everything we've built because of some rigid principle?" Worst of all, he tried to twist David's integrity into a flaw, a liability. He accused him of being stubborn, disloyal, even arrogant. "If you cared about me, if you cared about us, you'd do this. Loyalty means sacrifice. Why can't you sacrifice just this once?" This was not persuasion. It was warfare against David's moral identity. His partner wasn't asking him to bend on a small decision. He was asking him to falsify safety reports, to risk lives, to trade integrity for profit. He wasn't just asking David to compromise a value. He was asking him to become a different man. The lasting consequences of compromising values. What makes this betrayal so devastating is that even if you resist, the relationship is permanently scarred. You can never unsee the fact that someone you trusted wanted you to destroy yourself for their benefit. And if you give in, the damage is even greater. Loss of integrity. The moment you betray your values, you fracture your own identity. Self-respect becomes impossible because you can no longer trust yourself to protect what matters most. Lasting self-hatred. Compromises made under pressure do not disappear. They haunt you. You may succeed outwardly, but inwardly you carry shame and resentment, knowing you chose comfort over truth. Escalation. Once someone learns you are willing to compromise, they will ask again and again. One moral surrender opens the door to others until your values are no longer solid ground, but shifting sand. Corruption of identity. Slowly you become someone you once despised, someone who rationalizes, excuses, and participates in harm. You don't just betray your values, you lose yourself. This betrayal is worse than theft, worse than infidelity, worse than humiliation, because its battlefield is your soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as profitable that shall compel you to break your word or to lose your self-respect." The Stoics understood that values are not negotiable assets. You cannot trade them for comfort, profit, or approval without destroying the very essence of who you are. To the Stoics, integrity was the truest form of wealth. No fortune could compensate for the loss of self-respect. No success was worth the price of dishonor, and no relationship, no matter how close, was worth your soul. When someone pressures you to compromise your values, they are revealing something chilling about themselves. They do not love the real you. They love only the version of you that serves their goals. They see your integrity not as something to cherish, but as an obstacle to remove. To forgive such betrayal is not to heal, it is to invite further corruption. Because if someone has shown they are willing to turn your integrity into bargaining chips, they will not stop until they've stripped you of everything sacred. What makes this betrayal unforgivable is not only the act itself, but the intention behind it. A person who pressures you to abandon your core values is asking you to destroy yourself for their benefit. They are declaring that your dignity, your principles, your very soul are expendable as long as they get what they want. This is not love. It is not loyalty. It is exploitation. And once someone has revealed that they see you this way, there is no going back. Even if you resist, the knowledge remains. They wanted your corruption. They sought your moral death. That is a line no apology can erase. The way forward is not to forgive, but to reclaim. To stand on your values as unshakable ground, no matter the pressure. To remind yourself, as the Stoics did, that the only true harm is the harm you do to your own soul. If wealth is lost, it can be rebuilt. If relationships end, new ones can form. But if your integrity is destroyed, nothing external can restore it. That is why this betrayal, the betrayal that seeks to make you betray yourself, is the deepest cut of all. If your values matter more than approval, join our Stoic Brotherhood here at True Stoic Way. We have now examined 5 betrayals that should never be forgiven: humiliation, theft, gaslighting, intimate infidelity, and the corruption of your values. Each one reveals something unchangeable about the betrayer's character. Each one, if forgiven, teaches others that your dignity is negotiable. But dignity is never negotiable. And in the conclusion, we will gather these lessons together, reminding ourselves why self-respect must always come before toxic forgiveness. We've walked through 5 betrayals that pierce deeper than ordinary mistakes. 5 acts so corrosive that forgiving them is not an act of virtue, but an act of self-destruction. The first was deliberate public humiliation, where someone takes your trust and weaponizes it against you in front of others. This isn't clumsiness or a slip of the tongue. It's a choice to tear down your dignity for their temporary satisfaction. The second was financial betrayal, when someone steals not just money but the years of sacrifice, security, and dreams that money represents. It's not about numbers, it's about trust, fairness, and justice. The third was systematic gaslighting, the most insidious kind of psychological warfare, where someone dismantles your confidence in your own mind, leaving you dependent on them for truth itself. The fourth was infidelity with someone close, a double assassination of trust that poisons not just one relationship, but an entire support system of family and friends. And finally, the fifth betrayal, forcing you to compromise your core values, the deepest cut of all, because it seeks to destroy not just your trust in others, but your very identity. Each of these betrayals reveals something permanent about character. They are not accidents, not small flaws to overlook, but evidence of a deeper corruption that no apology can erase. Forgiving such acts is not compassion, it is permission. And permission teaches others that your dignity can be violated without consequence. The world will tell you forgiveness is always noble. But the Stoics knew better. Forgiveness can be virtuous when it flows from strength. But when it demands that you erase the unforgivable, it becomes weakness, disguised as virtue. The real virtue lies in boundaries, in saying, "This line cannot be crossed." Marcus Aurelius taught us to never trade self-respect for temporary comfort. Epictetus reminded us that dignity is the one thing truly in our control. Seneca warned that our companions shape our destiny, for good or for evil. Together, their wisdom forms a shield. You are not obligated to forgive what reveals a soul incapable of loyalty, respect, or justice. So remember this. When you forgive the unforgivable, you teach people how to mistreat you. But when you walk away with dignity, you teach the world that your soul is not for sale. Let this be your standard. Let this be your boundary. And let this be your strength. If this message resonates with you, take action now. Subscribe to True Stoic Way to walk daily in wisdom, boundaries, and self-respect. Comment below with your experiences. Your story may give someone else the courage to defend their dignity. Like this video as a personal commitment that your self-respect will never again be negotiable. Your dignity is not a suggestion, it is a requirement. Guard it fiercely, and you will never live as a slave to another's betrayal.